Picture your mother at 65. She worked her entire adult life. She raised children. She took care of aging parents. She showed up every single day. She did everything she was supposed to do. And she is going to retire with almost 40% less money than the man who sat next to her at work for 30 years. Not because she made bad decisions, not because she spent too much, not because she failed at anything, because the system she paid into her entire life was never built for her. And nobody told her that until it was too late to fix it. Here is a number that should stop you cold. Fewer than 1 in 5 women, 18%, are confident they will ever fully retire with a comfortable lifestyle. Not 40%, not 30%, 18%. Less than 2 out of every 10 women working right now believe they will make it to a comfortable retirement, and they are not wrong to doubt it. Women retire with 39% less saved than men. Women receive 21% less from Social Security than men. Women live 5 years longer than men on average, which means that smaller pile of money has to last 5 more years. Less money, longer life, higher healthcare costs. That is not bad luck. That is a system working exactly the way it was designed to work. So, how does this actually happen? Because most women do not feel like they're being robbed. They feel like they are just living their lives, working, raising families, doing what needs to be done. That is exactly how it works. It starts with the paycheck. Women earn 85 cents for every dollar men earn. That gap has barely moved in decades. And before you say that gap is small, run the math on it. Women working full-time lose out on $398,000 over a 40-year career compared to men. Not a few thousand, not 10,000, nearly $400,000 gone over a career before retirement even starts. To make up that gap, a woman would need to work almost a decade longer than a man in the same job. A decade for doing the same work. But the paycheck is only the beginning. Here is where it gets brutal. The average cost of childcare in America runs between $10,000 and $20,000 per year per child. The total cost of raising one child from birth to 18 is estimated at $300,000, and someone has to make the call. When the cost of working barely covers the cost of childcare, someone stops working. And in America, that someone is almost always the mother. 14% of prime-age women are full-time caregivers right now. The number for men is 1.5%. The same story plays out for elderly parents, for sick relatives, for every unpaid caregiving responsibility that falls disproportionately on women. And every single year, a woman steps out of the workforce, whether it is 1 year or 5. Here is what she actually loses. She loses that year's salary. Fine. People know that part. What they do not know is that she loses that year's Social Security contribution. She loses that year's 401k contributions. She loses her employer's matching contribution for that year. She loses the compounding growth that money would have generated for the next 30 years. And when she comes back to the workforce, she often comes back in a lower paying role because she has been gone and the career ladder did not wait for her. And then the government calculates her Social Security benefit using her 35 highest earning years. Those caregiving years do not disappear. They count as zeros. Actual zeros. In the formula that determines what she receives every month for the rest of her life, she raised the next generation of taxpayers. The government counted it as zero income. Now here is the number that made me stop when I found it. One study found that women need to work 19 additional years to match men's pension savings. 19 years for the same job, in the same economy, paying into the same system. That is not a gap. That is a completely different retirement reality wearing the same name. And then Social Security kicks in, the thing that is supposed to be the safety net under all of this. Women make up 55% of Social Security recipients over 62, the majority. They depend on it more than men do because they have less saved. They rely on it more because they spent years not earning, and they receive 21% less of it. The average Social Security check in 2026 is $1,976 per month. Women's checks are significantly lower because the formula is based on lifetime earnings. And lifetime earnings are lower because of everything we just talked about. The safety net is smaller for the exact people who need it most. Now, pile on one final thing, the thing nobody wants to talk about because it feels cruel to say out loud. Women live longer. The average life expectancy for women in 2025 is 81.1 years. For men, it is 75.8 years. Women live 5.5 years longer on average. A woman retiring at 65 needs her money to last until she is 81, possibly longer, possibly 90. Women make up the majority of Americans over 85. So her retirement savings are 39% smaller than the man who retired next to her. Her Social Security check is 21% less. She needs that money to stretch across 5 more years of life. And she needs $180,000 just to cover healthcare costs in retirement, more than the average individual, because she lives longer and healthcare costs more the older you get. Every single variable is stacked against her, simultaneously, for decades, in a system she paid into her whole life. Here is what makes all of this different from bad luck. None of it is accidental. The American retirement system was designed in the 1930s and 1940s, when most married women did not work, when the assumption baked into every calculation was that a man would earn the salary, accrue the benefits, build the retirement account, and his wife would be covered through him. That world ended. Women now make up 47% of the American workforce. Women are the primary breadwinners in a third of American households. Women outpace men in college graduation rates. Women have been in the workforce in massive numbers for 50 years. The retirement system has not caught up. Social Security still punishes career breaks with zeros. 401k, matching is still tied to salary percentages that punish part-time workers. Part-time work, which women do more because the caregiving responsibilities never redistributed equally, still comes with lower benefits and less retirement access. The world women live in changed completely. The system they retire into did not, and the cost of that gap is not abstract. It is 60-year-old women realizing the retirement they spent their entire lives building is not going to be enough. It is women working years longer than they planned, because the math does not work. It is women who are widowed or divorced in their 60s, discovering that the retirement security they thought they shared was never actually theirs. 43% of women experience financial stress compared to 32% of men. And 59% of women say they do not have enough income left after paying for life to save anything for retirement at all. Not that they are choosing not to save, that there is nothing left to save after the bills are paid. The gap is not coming. It is here. For millions of women, it already arrived. Drop a comment right now. Are you a woman watching this and recognizing your own situation? Or are you watching this thinking about someone you love? Because the research says this affects tens of millions of people, and most of them will not understand exactly why until retirement is already here and the numbers do not add up. Next video, why most people retire broke. Because this gender gap sits inside a retirement crisis that is already destroying millions of families across America, men and women both. Watch it next. Subscribe. This channel does not sugarcoat what is actually happening to people's money, and there is a lot more to cover.